In a peaceful pond at the edge of a green meadow, there lived a small green frog named Fifi. She spent her days hopping from lily pad to lily pad, catching flies with her quick pink tongue and splashing happily in the cool water with her friends. One sunny morning, a magnificent ox wandered down to the pond to drink. Fifi's eyes grew wide as saucers. She had never seen such an enormous, powerful creature. The ox's shadow covered the entire bank of the pond. His legs were like tree trunks, and his body was as big as a boulder. All the other frogs stared for a moment, then went back to their happy frog lives, catching dragonflies and sunbathing on warm rocks.
But not Fifi. She climbed onto her tallest lily pad and stretched her little body as high as she could, standing on the very tips of her webbed toes. She looked at the ox. She looked at herself. She puffed out her belly with a big breath of air, making herself rounder and wider. She looked at the ox again. She was still tiny, so she sucked in even more air. Her green belly swelled like a small balloon. The other frogs tilted their heads and watched nervously. Her best friend, a spotted frog named Pip, tugged gently at her arm, shaking his head slowly from side to side. But Fifi pulled away and kept puffing. She gulped more and more air. Her belly grew tighter and tighter, round as a ball. Her skin stretched. Her eyes bulged. The lily pad beneath her began to sink under the strain of her swollen body. Pip covered his eyes with his little green hands. Then, pop! Fifi bounced off the lily pad and flew through the air like a deflating balloon, spinning and spiraling in wild loops across the pond. She skipped across the water like a stone, bounced off a cattail, tumbled through a pile of soft mud, and finally landed, splat, right on top of a surprised turtle.
She lay there, flat and dizzy, covered in mud from head to toe, blinking up at the sky. She was not bigger. She was not more powerful. She was just a very sore, very muddy, very embarrassed little frog. The ox, who had seen the whole thing, looked down at her with gentle, kind eyes. He slowly lowered his enormous head and breathed a warm breath over her, as if to say she was perfectly fine just the way she was. Then he turned and walked peacefully back to the meadow. Pip hopped over and helped Fifi sit up. He wiped the mud from her face with a leaf. The other frogs gathered around her, patting her back with their tiny hands. Fifi looked down at her small green body, her strong little legs that could jump so high, her quick tongue that could catch the fastest fly, her smooth skin that glistened like an emerald in the sun. And for the first time, she smiled at her own smallness. From that day on, Fifi never tried to be something she wasn't. She leaped the highest of all the frogs, sang the loudest songs at night, and became the best friend anyone at the pond could ever wish for. Not because she was big, but because she had finally learned to love exactly who she was. Because the world doesn't need you to be the biggest. It just needs you to be you.